playing, mate?
I didn't think it polite to listen, sir.
I don't play accurately. Anyone can play accurately. But I play with wonderful expression. I see that the cucumber sandwiches kept for Lady Bracknell. Who can that be so early?
Mr. Ernest Worthington.
How are you, my dear Ernest? What brings you up this town?
Oh, pleasure, pleasure. Eating as usual, I see, algae.
I believe it is typical in society to have a small snack of sorts. At 5 o'clock.
Who is coming to tea?
Oh, merely Aunt Augusta and Gwendolyn.
How perfectly delightful.
Well, I don't think Aunt Augusta will quite approve of your being here. The way you flirt with Gwendolyn is downright disgusting. It's almost as bad as the way Gwendolyn flirts with you.
I'm in love with Gwendolyn. I've come up to town to propose to her.
I thought you were come for pleasure. I got that business. Please don't touch the cucumber sandwiches. They're ordered specially for Aunt Augusta. Have some bread.
What perfectly good bread it is.
It is Gwendolyn's, but you should not eat as if you are already married to her. You are not married to her, and I don't think you ever will be.
And why do you say that?
Well, in the first place, girls never marry the men they flirt with. In the second place, I don't give my permission.
Your permission.
My dear fellow, Gwendolyn is my first cousin, and before I allow you to marry her, you will have to clear up the whole situation of Cecily.
Cecily? I don't know anyone by the name of Cecily.
This is the pocket watch you left the last time you dined here. But when I look on the inscription inside, I find the thing isn't yours at all. It is a present by someone with the name of Cecily. And you said you didn't know anyone by that name.
Well, if you must know, Cecily happens to be my aunt.
Yes. But why does your aunt call herself Little Cecily? From Little Cecily with her fondest love.
My dear cousin, some aunts are tall, some aunts are not tall. That is something that surely an aunt should be allowed to decide for herself. Now, for heaven's sake, give me back my pocket watch.
But why does your aunt call you her uncle? From Little Cecily with her fondest love to her dear Uncle Jack. Besides, her name isn't Jack, it's Ernest.
It isn't Ernest, it's Jack.
Oh, I said it was Ernest. You answer to the name of Ernest. You are the most earnest looking person I ever saw. Say no cards. Here. Here's one of them. Mr. Ernest Worthing, the Albany. I'll keep this as proof that your name is Ernest.
My name is Ernest in town and Jack in the country. The cigarette case was given to me in the country.
Yes, but that does not explain why your small aunt calls you her uncle. Come, old boy. You would much better have thing out at once. I have always suspected you of being a secret Bunburyist, and now I am sure of it.
Bunburyist? What on earth is a Bunburyist?
I'll tell you exactly what it is as soon as you explain to me why you were Ernest in town and Jack in the country.
Old Mr. Thomas Carden, who adopted me when I was a little boy, made me in his will guardian to his granddaughter, Miss Cecily Carden. Cecily, who just as me as her uncle, lives at my place in the country, under the supervision of her private tutor, Miss Prism.
Where is that place in the country, by the way?
That is nothing to you, dear boy, for you are not going to be invited.
But why are you Ernest in town and Jack in the country?
When one is asked to be a guardian, one has to ensure that they have the highest of morals. And having the highest of morals is hardly a benefit to oneself or to one's happiness. In order to get up to town, I've always pretended to have a younger brother by the name of Earnest, who lives in the Albany and gets into the most dreadful situations. That, my dear Algie, is the whole truth, pure and simple.
The truth, as you may call it, is rarely pure and never simple. What you really are is a Bunburyist. You have invented a very useful younger brother called Ernest in order that you may be able to go up into town whenever you choose. I have invented an invaluable permanent invalid called Bunbury in order that I may be able to go down to the country whenever I choose. If it wasn't for Bunbury's extraordinary bad health, I wouldn't be able to dine with you tonight. I've had these plans with Aunt Augusta for more than a week.
But I haven't asked you to dinner.
I know, you are extremely careless about sending out invitations. Besides, now that I know you are confirmed Bunburyist, I want to talk to you about Bunbury.
I'm not a Bunburyist at all. If Gwendolyn accepts me, I should kill my brother. Cecily is far too interested in him.
There must be Aunt Augusta and Gwendolyn. Now, if I get Aunt Augusta out of the way for 10 minutes so that you have the opportunity to propose to Gwendolyn, may I have dinner with you tonight?
Lady Bracknell and Miss Fairfax.
Good afternoon. I hope you're behaving well.
I am feeling quite well.
That is not quite the same thing. In fact, the two things rarely go together.
Dear me, you looking pretty this afternoon.
I am always pretty. Am I not, Mr. Worthing?
You're quite perfect, Miss Fairfax. I'm sorry for late. I just had to check in on poor Lady Carberry. I hadn't seen her since her poor husband's death. I never saw a woman quite so changed. She looks quite 20 years younger. And now, I'll have some tea and a cucumber sandwich, please.
Good heavens, Lane. Why are there no cucumber sandwiches?
There were no cucumbers in the market this morning, sir.
No cucumbers?
Not even for ready money.
That's what you, Lane. Thank you.
Thank you.
It really makes me mad to Algernon. I eat crumpets with Lady Harbury, who seems to me to be living entirely for pleasure.
I hear her hair has turned quite golden. It appears that I ought to give up the pleasure of dining with you tonight. I've just got a telegram to say that poor Bunbury is very ill again.
Mr. Bunbury seems to suffer from curiously bad health.
Yes, poor Bunbury is a sickly fellow.
Well, I think that it is time whether Mr. Bunbury made up his mind as to if he was going to live or die. This shilly-shallying with the question is ridiculous. I'd be very much pleased if you asked Mr. Bunbury not to fall ill on a Saturday, since I'm relying on you to arrange my music for my last reception.
Ah yes, we'll go into the program now. If you'll come with me into the next room for a moment.
Charming day it's been, Miss Fairfax.
Oh, please don't talk about the weather, Mr. Worthing. Whenever people talk about the weather, I always feel quite certain they mean something else.
Oh, but I do mean something else.
I thought so. In fact, I am never wrong.
Miss Fairfax, ever since I first met you, I have loved you more than any girl I've ever met since I first met you.
I am well aware of the fact. I myself find you irresistible and fascinating. We live, as I hope you know, Mr. Worthing, in an age of ideals. And my ideal has always been to love someone by the name of Earnest. The moment Algernon first mentioned he had a friend called Earnest, I knew I was destined to love you.
But surely you could love me if my name wasn't Ernest.
It is a divine name. It produces vibrations.
But surely there are lots of nicer names, like Jack, for instance.
Jack, it produces absolutely no vibrations. The only safe name is Earnest.
Gwendolyn, I must be christened at once. I mean, we must be married at once.
Married? But you haven't even proposed to me yet. And I think it only fair to let you know that I am fully ready to accept you.
Gwendolyn, will you marry me?
Of course I will, darling. How long have you been about it?
Mr. Worthing. Why, sir, from that ridiculous posture. It's most shocking.
Mama, Mr. Worthing was not quite finished yet.
Finish what, may I ask?
I am engaged to Mr. Worthing.
Pardon me. You're not engaged to anyone. When you do become engaged, I'll let you know. And now you will wait for me in the carriage, for I have a private matter to discuss with Mr. Worthing.
Mama!
The carriage, Gwendolyn. Gwendolyn.
Yes, Mama.
You may sit. Thank you, Lady Bracknell, but I would much prefer to stand. Are your parents living? No, unfortunately, I've lost both my parents. To lose one parent is unfortunate. To lose both sounds rather careless. Who was your father? I'm afraid I don't really know. I was lost by my parents as a baby until I was then found. Found? The old Mr. Thomas Cardew, a wonderfully kind and generous gentleman, found me and gave me the name of Worthing, because he happened to have a first-class ticket to Worthing in his pocket. Worthing is a place in Sussex. It's a seaside resort.
Where did Mr. Cardew find you?
In a handbag.
A handbag.
Yes, Lady Bracknell, I was found in a handbag. A large black leather handbag with handles. A rather ordinary handbag, in fact.
Where was the handbag found?
In the Victoria Station coach room.
The Victoria Station.
Yes, the Brighton line.
The line is of no importance. To be born in a handbag, whether it has handles or not, to me seems to be an insult. To polite society.
May I ask then what you would advise me to do?
I would strongly advise you to locate your parents.
I can produce the handbag any moment.
Sir, you can hardly think that I'd allow my only daughter to marry into a coach room and form a union with a piece of luggage. Good morning.
Good morning! Oh, for heaven's sake, stop playing that dreadful song!
Didn't go off all right, old boy. Did you propose to Gwendolyn? Whatever did you say?
Ah, yes, Gwendolyn is perfectly fine, but her mother's unbearable.
Did you tell her about being Earnest in town and Jack in the country?
I saw the document of Earnest by the end of this week. I'll say he died in Paris of pneumono-ultramicroscopic silicovolcanoconiosis.
Nobody even knows what that is. You would much prefer to say a severe chill.
Very well. My poor brother Ernest was suddenly carried off by a severe chill. That the chill.
But I thought you said that Miss Cardew was a little too interested in your poor brother Ernest. Wouldn't she be upset to hear of his passing?
Cicely's not a silly romantic woman. She goes for long walks, has a healthy appetite, and pays no attention at all to her studies.
I would rather like to see Cecily.
And I will make sure that you never do.
Miss Fairfax.
Algie, turn your back. I have a private matter to discuss with Mr. Worthing.
My own darling.
Ernest, from the expression on my mama's face, I fear we may never be married. But although she may prevent us from becoming man and wife, and though I may marry someone else, and perhaps very often, nothing can change my eternal devotion to you. I have your address at the Albany, but your address at the country.
The Manor House, Woolton, Manchester.
The Manor House, Woolton, Manchester. I will communicate with you daily. Algie, you may return. You may also ring the bell, please.
May I see you to your carriage, my darling?
Certainly.
I will see Miss Fairfax out.
Tomorrow, Lane, I'm going Bunbury.
Yes, sir.
I shall probably not be back till Monday. You would much better have all the Bunbury suits.
Yes, sir.
The Manor House, Woolton, Manchester.
Cecily! Cecily! Come! Ah. The German grammar's on the table. We will repeat yesterday's lesson.
But I don't like German. It isn't an old, beautiful language. I feel as though even I myself look less beautiful after my German lessons.
Child, you must remember how your guardian wishes you to improve yourself in every way.
Dear Uncle Jack is so very serious. Sometimes he is so serious that I think he cannot be quite well.
You must remember his constant anxiety about his poor, unfortunate brother Ernest.
I wish Uncle Jack would allow his unfortunate young brother Ernest to come down here sometimes. I'm sure you would be a good influence on him.
Even I do not help think I could help a person so weak and indecisive. Indeed, I'm not a fan of turning bad people into good people at a moment's notice. A man sows what he reaps. Put away your diary, Cecily. Memory, my dear child, is the diary that we all carry about with us.
I believe that memory is responsible for nearly all the 3-volume novels we have read.
Do not speak slightingly of the 3-volume novel. I wrote one myself in earlier days.
Did you really, Miss Prism? And was your novel published?
Alas, no, the manuscript was unfortunately lost and never seen again.
Oh, I see Dr. Chasuble coming up through the garden.
Oh, Dr. Chasuble, it is indeed a pleasure.
And how are we this morning? Miss Prison, you are, I trust. Well?
Miss Prism has just been complaining of a slight headache. No, dear Miss Prism, I know that. But I felt instinctively you had one.
I hope, dear Cecily, you're not ignoring your studies. For if I were fortunate enough to be Miss Prism's pupil, I would hang upon her lips. In a figure of speech, of course.
Dear Doctor, I find I do have a headache after all, and a walk might do its good.
With pleasure, Miss Prism. With pleasure.
Cecily will continue her studies in my absence. Please read a political economy book. Horrid geography. Horrid political economy. Horrid German.
Mr. Ernest Worthing has just driven up from the station. He's brought his luggage with him.
Mr. Earnest Worthing, the Albany. Uncle Jack's brother. Tell Mr. Earnest Worthing to come in here.
Yes, miss.
I've never met any really wicked person before. I feel a bit frightened. I wonder if you look just like everyone else.
You are my little cousin, Cecily, I'm sure.
And you are my cousin Ernest. My wicked cousin Ernest.
Why, I'm not really wicked at all.
If you are not, then you've been deceiving us all in a very inexcusable manner.
I guess I have been rather reckless.
I'm glad to hear it. I'm sure it must have been very pleasant. Although, I don't think you should be so proud of that.
I'm not. That's why I want you to help me change.
I'm afraid I've no time this afternoon.
Being with you, I feel better already.
You're looking a little worse.
Just because I'm hungry.
How thoughtless of me. I should have remembered that one was good to lead an entirely new life. One who fries regular and wholesome meals. Won't you come with me into the dining room?
You are the prettiest girl I ever saw.
Miss Prism said that all good looks are a trap.
They're a trap that every sensible man would like to be caught in.
I didn't think I would catch a sensible one. I wouldn't know what's in about.
You are much too alone, Dr. Charleston. You should get married. I don't think that should be realized by being an unmarried man. A man allows himself to be a permanent public temptation.
But is a man not equally attractive when married?
No man is equally attractive except to his wife.
So I've heard. Not even to her.
Mr. Worthing!
Mr. Worthing?
I returned sooner than expected.
Dear Mr. Worthing, I hope your outfit does not mean something terrible has happened.
My brother,
Still leading his life of pleasure?
dead.
Your brother Ernest is dead.
Quite dead. But I sure hope he has finally learned his lesson. Yes, poor Ernest had many faults, but it is a sad, sad loss.
You were with him at his end?
No, he died in Paris. A severe chill. A man sows what he reaps.
Compassion, dear Miss Prism. Let us show some compassion. None of us are perfect. You would no doubt let me dedicate this Sunday sermon in honor of your brother's passing. I can adapt this sermon from celebrations to christenings.
Christenings. The fact is, dear doctor, I'd like to be christened myself.
But surely you've been christened already.
I don't remember anything about it.
And what hour would you like your ceremony to be performed?
Perhaps around 5, which is just fine.
Uncle Jack! Oh, I am pleased to see you. But what horrible clothes you've got on. Uncle Jack, what's the matter? You look as if you've had toothache, and I've got such a surprise for you. Who do you think is in the dining room? Your brother! Who? Your brother, Earnest.
What nonsense! I haven't got a brother.
Don't be silly. Of all people he may have behaved, he is still your brother. I'll tell him to come out.
Oh, what joyful news!
My brother in the dining room? Good heavens!
His brother is John. I have come down from town to tell you that I am very sorry for all the trouble that I have caused you and intend to lead a better life in the future starting right this very moment.
Uncle Jack, are you not going to shake your brother's hand?
Nothing can convince me to shake his hand.
Uncle Jack, if you don't shake his hand, I will never forgive you.
Never.
Never, never, never.
Oh, all right, but this will be the last time I shall ever do it.
It's pleasant, is it not, to see them put their differences aside I think we should leave the two brothers alone.
Cecily, you will accompany us.
You've done a great thing today, dear child.
I feel very happy.
You young scoundrel, Alge, you must get out of here at once.
I've put Mr. Earnest's things in the room next to yours, sir.
I'm afraid I can't stay more than a week this time.
Merriman, order the carriage at once. Mr. Ernest Worthing has suddenly been called back to town.
Yes, sir.
What a faithful lie you are, Jack. No one's called me.
Your duty as a gentleman calls you.
Cecily is dull.
I won't have you talk about Miss Carter that way. I don't like it.
Well, I don't like your clothes. You look perfectly ridiculous. It is completely childish to be mourning the death of someone who is actually spending a whole week with you.
You are certainly not spending a whole week with me.
Well, I certainly won't leave you so long as you are in mourning. What kind of a friend would I be?
Will you go if I change my clothes?
Yes, I suppose. I've never seen anyone take so long to dress for such little results.
This fun burying, as you call it, has not been a great success.
It has been a great success. I'm in love with Cecily, and that's everything.
I thought with Uncle Jack.
He's going to send me away.
Then, have we got to part?
Yes, but before we do, I want you to know that to me, you are a vision of absolute perfection.
Thank you. If you do not mind, I will copy your remarks down in my diary. Please, Ernest, do not stop. I delight in taking down dictation. I have reached absolute perfection. Please, Ernest, do not cough. When one is dictating, one speaks clearly. Besides, I don't know how to spell a cough.
Cecily, ever since I looked upon your wonderful and incomparable beauty, I have dared to love you wildly. Will you marry me?
You silly boy. Of course. We've been engaged for the last 3 months.
The last 3 months?
Yes. You see, ever since dear Uncle Jack first mentioned that he had a young brother who was very wicked, I knew I was destined to love you. Besides, of course, there's the question of your name. Please do not laugh at me, but it's always been a girlish dream of mine to love someone with the name of Earnest.
You mean you could not love me if I had some other name?
Well, what name?
Oh, any name you like. Algernon, for instance.
I might respect you. I might admire your character, but I fear I should not be able to give you my undivided attention. Besides, Ernest is your name.
Your rector here is thoroughly experienced in all rights of the church.
Yes, Dr. Shoswell has not written a single book, so you can imagine how much he knows.
I'm a see Dr. Shoswell on a most important business. I shall be back in half an hour.
Couldn't you make it 20 minutes?
I'll be back in no time.
What a peculiar boy he is. I must send his proposal in my diary.
Miss Fairfax has just called to see Mr. Ernest Worthing.
Tell the ladies to come in here, Merriman, and please bring some tea.
Yes.
Miss Fairfax, I suppose one of the many good elderly women associated with Uncle Jack and his charity work in London.
Miss Fairfax.
Allow me to introduce myself. My name is Cecily Cardew.
Cecily Cardew, what a very sweet name. I like you already. My first impressions are never wrong.
How nice of you to like me so much. Please, sit down.
I may call you Cecily, may I not?
With pleasure.
And you will always call me Gwendolyn, won't you?
If you wish.
Then that's all quite settled, is it not?
I hope so.
You see, my mama is very strict and values my education. As such, the tremendous amount of reading that has been placed upon me has caused some slight impairment to my vision. Do you mind my looking at you through my glass?
Of course. I'm very fond of being looked at.
You are here on a short visit, I suppose?
Oh no, I live here.
Really? Your mother no doubt resides here also?
No. I have no mother. Nor in fact, any relations. My guardian, with the assistance of Miss Prism, has the arduous task of looking after me.
Your guardian?
Yes, I'm Mr. Worthing's niece.
Ernest never mentioned to me that he had a niece.
I beg your pardon, Gwendolyn. Did you say Ernest?
Yes. never mentioned to me that he had a brother. You are quite sure it's not Mr. Ernest Worthing who is your guardian?
Quite sure. In fact, I'm going to be his.
I beg your pardon?
Mr. Ernest Worthing and I are engaged to be married.
How strange. Ernest proposed to me yesterday afternoon at 5:30. I am sorry, dear Cecily, but I'm afraid he is already taken by me.
I feel I must point out that since Ernest proposed to you, he clearly has changed his mind.
Shall I lay the tea here, as usual?
Yes, as usual.
Are there many interesting walks in the area, Miss Cardew?
Oh yes. From the top of the hill one can see 5 counties.
I don't think I should like that. I hate crowds.
I suppose that's why you live in town?
Quite a well-kept garden you have here, Miss Cardew. I had no idea there were any flowers in the country.
Oh, flowers are common here, Miss Fairfax, as people are in London. May I offer you some tea? Sugar?
No, thank you. Sugar is no longer fashionable.
Cake or bread and butter?
Bread and butter, please. Cake is rarely seen at the best of houses.
And that's Miss Fairfax.
You have filled my tea with lumps of sugar, and though I asked for bread and butter, you have given me cake. I warn you, Miss Carter, you may go too far.
To save my poor, innocent, trusting boy, there are no lengths which I would not go.
My own Ernest.
Gwendolyn, darling.
A moment, Ernest. May I ask if you are engaged to be married to this young lady?
To little Cecily, of course not.
Thank you. You may.
I knew there must be some mistake. The gentleman whose arm is now present around your neck is my guardian, Mr. John Worthing. This is Uncle Jack.
Jack? Oh.
Here is Ernest.
Darling.
A moment, Ernest. May I ask if you are engaged to be married to this young lady?
Gwendolyn? Of course not. Why would you think that?
Thank you.
But I'm afraid there has been some slight error. The gentleman whose arm is now at present around your waist is my cousin, Mr. Algernon Moncrief.
Algernon Moncrief? Are you called Algernon?
I cannot deny it.
Is your name really John?
Yes, it has been for years.
It would appear that both of us were greatly deceived.
It is quite clear, Cecily, that neither of us is engaged to be married to anyone.
Mr. Moncrief, kindly answer me the following question. Why did you pretend to be my guardian's brother?
In order that I might have a chance to meet you.
Mr. Worthing, what explanation can you offer to me for pretending to have a brother? Was it so you might have chance to come up to town and see me?
Can you doubt it, Miss Fairfax?
Their explanations appear to be quite satisfactory. But now that is a hand that one cannot overlook. Which of us should tell them?
Could you perhaps both speak at the same time?
An excellent idea. I nearly always speak at the same time as other people. Will you take the time for me? Your names are trash. That is all.
When we are going to be christened this afternoon, we intend to have them changed.
For me, you are prepared to do this terrible thing?
To please me, you're ready to face this fearful ordeal?
We are!
Lady Bracknell.
Gwendolyn, what is the meaning of this?
I am engaged to Mr. Worthing, Mama.
Excuse me? You're not engaged to anyone. What I find outside of my daughter's sudden and unfortunate judgment, I follow it at once by luggage train. You'll cease communication with my daughter immediately. And now, to
settle matters with my nephew. Algernon,
Yes, Aunt Augusta?
is this the house where your sickly friend Mr. Bunbury resides?
Oh no. Bunbury died. Yes. The doctors found out that he could not live, so he died. Yes, Bunbury died.
Well, he seems to have had a great confidence in the opinion of his doctors. I'm glad, however, that he finally made up his mind as to what he wanted from life, not to be a part of it. Now, may I ask, whose hand are you holding?
This is Cecily Cardew. I am engaged to be married to her.
I beg your pardon?
Mr. Earnest, what? Mr. Moncrief and I are engaged to be married, Lady Bracknell.
Well, I do not give my permission.
Your permission? On what grounds do you object?
He is...
Miss Cardew is the granddaughter of the late Mr. Thomas Cardew of 149 Belgrave Square.
That sounds not unsatisfactory.
I have also in my possession certificates of Miss Cardew's birth, baptism, whooping cough, registration, vaccination, confirmation, and the measles, both the English and the German variety.
Like Cardew's incident. Has Miss Cardew any fortune?
About £130,000 in her bank account.
Ah, pretty child. Thank you, dear. Your dress is sadly simple. Your hair could do some work. But we'll fix all that. Well, I suppose I must give my permission.
I beg your pardon, but Miss Cardew cannot marry without my consent.
What grounds do you object?
Miss Lady Bracknell, the matter is entirely in your own hands. The moment you consent to my marriage with Gwendolyn, I'll most gladly allow your nephew to marry my ward.
You must be quite aware that what you propose is entirely out of the question.
I am happy to say everything is quite ready for the christenings. Me and Miss Prism have been waiting at the church.
Prism? Did I hear you mention Miss Prism? Is Miss Prism a most irritating woman? What of modest intelligence?
She is the most cultivated of ladies, and the very picture of respectability.
It is obviously the same person. I must send for her.
She approaches. She is nigh.
Dr. Chasuble, I was worried about this, keeping you.
Prism? Come here, Prism. Prism, where's that baby? 28 years ago, Prism, you left my house with a stroller containing a baby boy. You never returned. A few weeks later, the same stroller containing a manuscript to a 3-volume novel was found. The baby wasn't there. Prism, where's the baby?
Do not ask me, Lady Bracknell, for I do not know. On the morning you mentioned, I prepared to take the baby out in the stroller, and I had with me a somewhat large but old handbag. In a moment of mental confusion, I placed the manuscript in the bassinet and the baby in the handbag.
But where did you leave the handbag?
Do not ask me, Mr. Worthing.
Miss Prism, the matter is of utmost importance. Where did you leave the handbag that contained that inscription? I must know.
In one of the larger railway stations in London.
Which railway station?
Victoria, the Brighton line.
Excuse me, I must retire to the next room for a moment. Gwendolyn, you will wait here for me.
What do you think this means, Lady Bracknell?
Well, I'm afraid that what I have to give.
Is this the handbag, Miss Prism? The having is more than one life depends on your answer.
It seems to be mine. Ah, yes, here's the injury conceived from falling from a carriage and being stomped upon by a horse. Ah, yes, here are my initials. It seems to be mine. I'm glad to have it returned to me. It has been a great inconvenience without it.
Herbert, Miss Prism, more has been returned to you than the handbag, for I was the baby who put it inside it.
You?
Yes, Mother.
Mr. Worthing, I am unmarried. There is the woman who will tell you who you really are.
Lady Bracknell, I hate to beg your pardon, but could you please inform me of who I am?
I'm afraid that what I have to give you will not altogether please you. You are the son of my late sister, Mrs. Moncrief, and hence Algernon's elder brother.
Alger's elder brother. I have a brother after all.
But what is your Christian name now that you have become someone else?
Lady Bracknell, at the time that I was placed in the handbag, had I been christened already?
Well, being the eldest son, you were naturally christened after your father.
Yes, but what was my father's christian name?
I cannot at this moment remember. I have no doubt that he had one. He was quite eccentric, though only in later years.
Algie, can you recall our father's christian name?
My dear boy, he died before I was a year old. We were never even on speaking terms.
His name would appear in the honor list of the period. Oh yes, I should have been checking these the whole time. Maxwell, Maxed, McSuckley, ugh, what awful names. Ah, here it is. Moncrief, General Lieutenant, 1869. Christian name, Earnest John. I always told you, Gwendolyn, my name was Earnest.
My own Ernest! I knew from the start you could have no other name.
Gwendolyn, it's a terrible thing for a man to find out that he's been telling nothing but the truth his whole life.
Letitia!
Frederick, at last.
Cecily at last.
Gwendolyn, at last!
Why do you appear so excited about such a small matter?
Aunt Augusta, I've now realized for the first time in my life the vital importance of being earnest.